Gorilla, how you doing, man? We'll see if anybody shows up today. This is a little off time for me as of like the last 2 weeks when I've been doing a lot of midday stuff. So it's a holiday weekend, so who knows what's going to happen today. Hopefully some folks come in and then we can get into a good discussion. So Travis, how you doing? Welcome, man. Welcome. So we've been on a little roll. I think there were like 5 guys or people, I should say, that subbed to me today. So something's going on. I definitely appreciate all the new folks that have subscribed to the channel. I definitely appreciate those of you that have been with me for a while that still tune in for these chats. I absolutely appreciate it. I have a good time doing this stuff, and I hope you guys do as well. So we're going to be doing some cool stuff today, I think. I went hunting today, so I have some interesting observations that I'll share with you about that. And then I have 2 things that I'm going to unbox. One is an act of kindness from another YouTuber who has a wonderful channel that I like to watch. And then another is a book that I ordered. So maybe what I'll do first is to talk a little bit about my experience today. So about, hey White Whale, how you doing? So Jacob, welcome to the chat. So about 4 years ago, my wife and I, maybe 3 years ago, 3.5, 4, something like that. My wife and I had just moved to California, and we were doing some exploring, going to different communities, different neighborhoods, different cities that we had never been to before, of course. This was my second time in California. My first was in Southern California, so this was my first time in Northern. And so we went exploring. And we went to a town called Livermore, which was a little ways away from us because of where we were living at the time, much closer to where we are living now. But I went to this place, and we ended up sticking our head in this comic shop, and I walked around for maybe 5 minutes and was like, I'm out of here. Because I wasn't, at the time, 4 years ago, I wasn't reading books. I wasn't really collecting. I actually had my collection in another state at the time. So kind of dipped in just to kind of, immerse myself for like the 5 minutes and smell the air. There's a smell that comes along with Old's comic shops, as you guys know. So I stuck my head in there. And then, so today, with it being a long weekend, I was like, you know what? I am going to go back to the shop. And I told my wife this morning, I was like, let's take the kids, let's go up to this area. You guys can go to a playground or something like that, and I'll go check out this shop. So the day ends up going on. We ended up doing some other stuff, setting up a bounce house for the kids and all this stuff. And my daughter went to take a nap, and I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm gonna go check out this shop. I'll be back. She's like, cool, no problem. So I go to the shop. I get there in easy time. And the shop was chaos. That is probably the best way to describe it, right? There were people everywhere because the guy had like a 20% off sale on things, and he caters, I think, to children. He caters to card collectors, people that like figures, people that pop culture thing, little tchotchkes. He caters to that group and not necessarily the comic book community. So I kind of made my way through the people and made my way to the back corner of the store. And it was just chaos. There were books that came out probably 4 months ago that were still on the shelf. And they were just mixed in, like new books that came out last week mixed in with books that came out 4 months ago. There was no rhyme or reason to how like the new comic section was organized. So I kind of rooted through some of that stuff for like a hot minute. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dig into some boxes. And there were boxes everywhere. Like there were boxes on top of boxes with toys on top. And you had to move the toys and unstack the boxes to get to the books. And I went in several boxes where there were no bags and boards, like old Thor, old X-Men, old stuff with no bags and boards. There was new stuff, no bags and boards. Almost nothing had prices on it. Like it was chaos. But then I got into a groove and I was like, okay, I know what this is going to be. This is going to be root and hunt. you know, and so I just dug into it, started moving boxes, rooting through this, rooting through that, and I found some decent stuff. There was a couple of things that I found that were damaged that I left behind, but I walked away, I think, with some decent stuff. Now, if you guys remember the video that I did on Berkeley Comic-Con, kind of made the joke that there was lots of sweat. This time it was me sweating again, right? It was hot. There was no AC. Like, I don't know what it is with guys with comic shops and comic book guys thinking that AC is not needed. AC is needed, okay? It was hot in there, and like all of my secret places were not quite secretive. But I had a good time. I picked up some cool stuff, and I think I'm gonna head back on Tuesday. Actually, I'm gonna head back on Tuesday because I think that there is some other good stuff there. And in fact, while the guy was ringing me up because nothing had prices, he had to look the price up on everything. And that took some time, and I was like, hey, well, why don't you hand me a stack of those books that you have underneath the cabinet so I can look at those while you're pricing things. So I think the guy's sitting on some good stuff. So I'm gonna head back, I think, on Tuesday when it's less busy and not a holiday, and try to see what else I can find. But I found a couple of good things. So let me say hello to a couple of people, and then we'll jump back into this thing. Los, I am sorry that your internet is jacked up, brother. I'm hoping that you'll be able to fix it. As you know, I am empathetic towards anybody with jacked up internet because of all the troubles that I've been having. Miss Hustle, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Daniel, how you doing? Kingpin Comics, my man, it's good to chat with you. I've been chatting with many of you all day today. Dan Bull, I think this is the first time I've seen your name, Dan. Welcome to the chat, brother. Oh yeah, you may have. So Dan, I guess, is a local guy here in San Francisco. He says that he was at the show and may have walked past me at some point. I am hard to miss, my friend. Let me tell you, hard to miss. But next time, hopefully, if I see you, we'll get a chance to chat. Rogue 121, good to see you as well. So let me show you guys some of the things that I picked up today. The guy basically did two stacks for me. One was like, okay, here's cover price, and then let me look these up. So I won't give you prices. I would say that I walked out of this shop with these books for less than what I would spend picking up just a regular LCS run. So in my opinion, I didn't spend a lot, but I got some decent stuff here, I think. So one of the things you guys know, I picked up a lot of the Amazing Spider-Man 800 variants. This is one that I picked up, and I can't remember who the cover is. Maybe it's Bradshaw. I can't remember who the cover artist is. I picked this one up, and it was actually damaged. It had a white mark, like the cover had been stripped off of the cover of this one, and I was unable to find this book anywhere. And I went to 3 different shops in my local area. No one had it. Go to this shop. This guy literally had a box of 800s left over, including 5 copies of this particular book that I needed. So of course I snagged that one, and this is a really, really nice copy to replace my damaged copy. So I was happy about that. The next book that I picked up, and I think he had 5 of these as well, Venom #1. I want to say 1 or 2 copies of this already, but I'm really enjoying the Venom series, so I went ahead and picked this up, and this thing is in excellent shape. Again, still on the shelf for this book, which was interesting that it was still sitting there. I also picked up this one. So a lot of what was happening is when the new books come in from Diamond, they take the books out of the Diamond box, they put them in a short box, and then they stand the short box up around the perimeter of the store. So around different like places where they had cards and figures and stuff, they had short boxes that were sitting on their backs. And so I kind of went around then like a circle, tipping things down, looking through things. And what I ended up finding in one was this Venom #4. This is a black cover book, which you guys know is really hard to get in a nice grade. I found 2 solid copies of Venom #4, so definitely happy about that because I am really enjoying this Venom story arc. It is a really fun read. If you have not read it, I would definitely encourage you guys to check that out. So as I mentioned, there were some older books there, and no bags and boards. No bags and boards, which was mind-blowing to me. But I think I was at one of my LCSs recently, and they were trying to sell a book for like 120 bucks. And I don't think that the book is worth that, but I kind of wanted the book. And I'm glad that I didn't pick it up, because I went in there and the guy had a wonderful copy of X Factor #1. And I was a big fan of X Factor back in the day. I have a solid run of X Factor right now. Probably a short box full of X Factor. So I picked up this. It has a little bit of not a spine roll, but you could see that there were multiple books stacked on top of it for long periods of time. But I think it can be easily corrected with a quick press. So got this one, and then I got another. And when I go back, there were 4 other copies of this. So I may pick those copies up as well. They were not as nice as these 2 copies, but definitely some good books. And Kingpin is saying he paid cover back in the day for this. Brother, I didn't pay cover, but I am not upset at the price that I paid for those 2 books. And Whitewell is saying definitely not a $120 book. I would absolutely agree. Definitely not a $120 book, but it is a pretty nice book. And one of the things that I may do a video on it at some point is the whole Fallen Angels, X-Terminator, X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force kind of family at some point, because as you guys know, there's a lot of interplay between those various teams. And I think it's all really cool history that I haven't seen explored. So Whitewell Comics, maybe that's something that you take on, brother. Ian, I guess it's Ian or Ian, I'm not quite sure. Welcome to the chat, brother. And then the last book that I picked up was a book that a buddy tried to sell me not that long ago. And I didn't pick it up for a couple of different reasons. But then I'm in this store. As soon as I see the book, I'm like, you are coming home with me. Didn't know the price of the book at the time, but I was like, you are coming home with me. And it is the second appearance of Gambit. This is X-Men 267, right? So the first appearance is 266, which is, I think, on the wall behind me. Here is 267. Now, what's interesting about this, and I think this is correct, is that Jim Lee did not do 266. I don't believe, but I think that Jim Lee actually did the cover of 267, and I think this is his first Gambit. It's not a very attractive pose for Gambit, not a very attractive cover, but I do believe that this is Jim Lee's Gambit, and maybe somebody out there can fact check me on that one. But I picked this thing up, paid a fair amount of money for it. It is a really clean copy of this book. And what's crazy is that I've literally been watching Jim Lee videos for the last 2 days. Like every single interview I can find with Jim Lee, I've been watching his some of his videos, some of his interviews. And I had a feeling that I liked the guy, and then I watched the videos and I was like, I actually really do like this guy. At some point, I'm going to pick up some of Jim Lee's original art. And I actually did hold on, let me check this real quick. So Whitewell is saying Gambit is his #1 mutant. I was a big fan of Gambit back in high school, brother. Kingpin Comics is saying that correct, Jim Lee did not draw 266, but I think he did 267. I think he did the cover of that one. And Jacob is saying he got the cameo last week. Yeah, I had that cameo. I think that was the one that I flipped the guy a quarter for in the Costco parking lot. So, and RB3 is making the comments here that Jim Lee's, he does these really wonderful live streams where he like chats, sometimes with a camera on him, sometimes not, but he chats and he draws at the same time. And he's kind of talking about the history of characters, the history of the artist that drew it, why he's drawing it, the way that he's drawing it. At the same time, he gives tutorials. Like he just did one on Steve Ditko as a tribute to Steve Ditko. He drew Mr. A. And no, he drew The Question, I think. And he also talked about Mr. A. And you guys have seen my video on that. But he also then does like a midstream tutorial on like how to draw a hat. And it's the craziest thing. He operates on all these different levels all at once. And it is incredible to watch. So RB3, you'll like this. I am committed at some point to getting some Jim Lee artwork. And in fact, I jumped on his representative's website to see what it would cost to get some of his stuff. And I think a head sketch was $600. I think a full body with limited background was 1,500, I want to say. And yeah, so we'll leave it there. At some point, I will get some of this guy's artwork. So Jim Lee did 267 in collaboration with Wills. I guess that's how you say his name. That is correct. Thank you, Poor Man's Comments. Thank you for looking that up, brother. I appreciate that. So good stuff, good stuff. Again, I'm super pumped about this book, super pumped about the condition that it's in and the price that I paid for it. It's a great book to have in my collection. I'm very excited about that one. Same with the X-Force book. All right, so the next thing I want to do is open up this thing here. There is a YouTuber that's in the chat right now that sent me a little gift. So we're gonna open this thing up and see what is inside of here. Now, what's crazy about this is that I was expecting it, but I didn't check the tracking number and that kind of stuff. I was expecting it to come, and nothing had come. And so it was about 10, I think it was about 10:30 or so. About 10 o'clock. I was headed out to go to the gym to work out. And as I walked out the door, I almost stepped on it. The mail person who delivered it had actually set my 2 packages right outside my door in the dark, and I literally almost stepped on it. So thankfully I didn't, because I think there's some good stuff in here. But my man White Whale Comics, who is in this chat, who has a wonderful YouTube channel, the dude has a wicked sense of humor. It is like dry wit and sarcasm, like all mixed up in there, and I am a huge fan. He sent me this really cool t-shirt. So this thing is awesome. The only problem with this shirt is that it has sleeves. So we are going to have to fix that. We're going to have to take these sleeves off, because as you guys know, I don't wear sleeves, but this is really cool. This is really cool. At some point, White Whale, you will have to tell me the backstory of White Whale Comics. I think I get the reference, but I'm not completely sure how it relates. But this is a really great logo, a great shirt. So thank you, brother, for sending this over. I absolutely appreciate it. Absolutely do. So he sent some other stuff. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we'll check it out here. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm gonna tell you guys, I have an uncle. And my uncle is one of the most talented people around. The guy can sing, he can play all kinds of instruments, he can make clothes. I mean, he can do all kinds of stuff. And my family jokingly says that he basically sucked up all the talent from the family. And so I have no talent. So anytime I recognize someone demonstrates some kind of talent, like if you can work on cars, if you can build stuff, like I can build some stuff, right? But if you can build stuff, if you can draw, if you can play instruments, I appreciate that kind of stuff. So the very first thing that I noticed when I opened this thing up is a sketch. So I think that's really cool. A sketch, and it says, Reggie, thanks for all your help. And it's signed by Alec 2018. So that's really cool. Alec is the guy from White Whale Comics. This is pretty cool. And then he also sent me a book. And of course, the book is his first name, Alec. So I thought that was pretty cool. What else is in here? Oh, it's a couple more of these. All right, cool. So it's number 1, number 2, and number 3. And I think the character that I'm looking at right there is who that is right there. So that's very cool. I appreciate this, White Whale. I appreciate people with talent, because I don't have any of it. So thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. I absolutely do. And I know the backstory, and it means a lot. All right. So that was very cool. I appreciate that. So when we get off air, I've got a pair of scissors here. I'll be taking those sleeves off. All right. So let's get caught up. Thomas Churchill, how you doing? Travis, welcome. White Whale Comics didn't even print them for my channel. Yeah, so I think you said you like repurposed those shirts, or the channel name. It worked out well, my friend. Worked out well. So Dan Bull clearly saw my harmonica video. So there, well done. So if you guys get a chance, check out RB3's channel. RB3 took some of that footage from my harmonica playing and repurposed it. So it's definitely a good time. So, all right, so I don't remember what's in this one, and because of how the person packaged it, it's gonna be a little bit of a bear to get out, but we will try to do it without damaging the book. It's the problem when you send things in packaging like this. It just leaves the person on the other end not sure how to open it. But we will persevere through here. Kingpin, there is no harmonica today, but I filmed it live. I think it was last week or something like that. So yeah, I filmed that live, much to my chagrin. I didn't lose a bet because it wasn't really a bet. It was more of a challenge that I extended to Miss Hustle, who was in the room, and she followed through with what I challenged her to, and so it left me in the awkward position of having to play a child's harmonica live on camera. And my buddy RB3 had a little bit of fun with it, which I appreciate, you know. Thing is, if you're gonna put yourself in that position where you're doing something silly, you have to be prepared. But it was a good video. So if you guys have a chance, definitely check that one out, because it is funny. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is cool. This is and I kind of alluded to this the other day if you watched the live stream. I've been on a roll with these live streams, but one of the things that I was talking about was just Spec, right? And Spec books and things like that, things that could be potentially turned into a movie or a TV show. And I was watching and have been watching a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Big fan of that show. I'm like on season 5. I've taken a break for the last couple of days, but I'm really enjoying Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm enjoying it for several reasons, right? Because one, it's really good storytelling. It's really good TV. It's like a mixture of like some drama, some action. There's some humor in there with the main folks. And then of course there's some special effects stuff, right? There's great comic book stuff that's going on. And one of the things that they introduce is they introduce some cool characters from like the Marvel universe. They show Deathlock, how he could potentially be done in a TV show, and I think could be done really, really well. But one that caught me by surprise was Ghost Rider. They actually brought in not Johnny Blaze, but the other guy, the Hispanic guy. And I wasn't sure how they were going to do Ghost Rider, right? Because flames can be hard, right? Flames can be hard to reproduce. And I was pleasantly surprised. And that got me to thinking that they could very easily do some spinoffs of Deathlock. They could very easily do a spinoff of Ghost Rider. And so that character, that Ghost Rider character, was one that wasn't familiar to me. He drives I guess that's a Charger or souped up Charger or something like that. So I was intrigued to actually go read it. I got on Marvel Unlimited and actually read the story. Robbie Reyes, thank you guys. And it was really good. It was, I mean, it is, the TV show and the book aren't necessarily perfectly aligned, but you can see how they referenced and used the source material. But it was really good. And so that prompted me to pick up this. So this is, I believe, you guys tell me, the first appearance of Robbie Reyes as the Ghost Rider. And this book, I've read 1 and I'm starting 2, is really well done. I've enjoyed the story, and I think he makes a really cool Ghost Rider. So I'm definitely enjoying this one, but I had to pick this book up. I want to say that I have 2 copies. This copy arrived and I'm waiting for the next one to come. And this thing, as I'm looking at it, is in pristine condition. It really is in great shape. So super pumped to add this to the collection. And again, I've been buying multiples of books, so we have a second one coming. And with this one, and I've told you guys how I do this. I will message people. I will make a bid, and then I will message people and explain why I'm bidding what I'm bidding. And the guy had 5 copies. I can't remember if it was this one or the one that's coming, but the guy had 5 copies, and I made him a reasonable bid and sent him a message explaining why I was bidding what I was bidding, which was probably shaved off $8 off of what he was asking. Guy accepted, free shipping, boom, done deal, you know, and it worked out quite nicely. So definitely excited to have this book. And I'm excited because I think it's just a really cool book to read, you know, and I enjoy reading it. And I'll probably read a couple more just because, you know, it's Marvel Unlimited, so why not read it? You're paying for it anyway. So let's get caught up here. White Whale Comics is saying, good book. JD, my man John, is saying, good read. And again, it's first Robbie as Ghost Rider. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. He's saying that the great story because the car is possessed. The car is possessed by his uncle L, right? And the way that L is portrayed in the show and the way he's portrayed in the book are very different, but they are both named L. So there you go. Referencing the source material, playing it the right way. Tootsie Roll. Damn Bull, are you asking me to play the harmonica while Tootsie Rolling or to play the Tootsie Roll song on the harmonica? Not quite sure. Oh, okay. Here, let me. I'm gonna reference that. Daniel is giving me a guy on Instagram that has a lot of Jim Lee artwork. I want to check that out because I am a fan. A buddy of mine, if you didn't watch the live chat that I did probably a week and a half ago, maybe, went over a buddy's house and was checking out some of his books, and I went to go buy some books too. And then he brought out artwork, and of course he brought out the heavy hitters, right? So he brought out J. Scott Campbell original. He brought out Michael Turner original, including the cover that he did right before he passed away. And then he brought out Jim Lee, including Jim Lee's X-Men. And, you know, they were like, so what are you taking home? And I was like, absolutely nothing, because I already know how much this stuff is going to cost me, and I'm not prepared to spend that today. But Jim Lee's artwork is just, it's super sharp, super sharp. I'm actually thinking about sticking my toe in the water with some, a current artist that I like. And it's a person that if I'm able to get it, there'll be panels from a book that I've spoken about. And I think it'll be cool because I really enjoyed the book. And so to get a couple of the panels, the more meaningful panels, not the filler stuff, but a couple of the meaningful panels for a fair price, might be a nice way to go. And in my head, I've already started to plan it out. I have a wall here where I have my whiteboard, but I have empty space on either side. I would end up putting some of those panels there, and then maybe on the wall in front of me. The wall in front, I intended to do something similar to what I have behind, but I may end up doing it in front. So we'll see how it all plays out. So RB3, I'm catching up here, says, loving your books all over the place. Your art budget is moving like crazy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Santiago, I will take a look at your email as soon as I get a chance, brother. No worries on the delay. Losing a phone is an awful thing. So I don't know if you guys noticed the stuff on my wall back there. Some people have been saying that the way that my wall is organized irritates them. They didn't say that, but they were like, what is your method with that? Honestly, I don't have a method. I stick stuff on the wall. I like it. I move it around because I like it. So you never know what's going to end up back there at some point. Yeah. So yeah, White Whale Comics is saying that he has some original art. Very nice. Let me check it out. Does anybody have any Jim Lee art? I'm curious if you do. And if you do, send me some photos. I'd love to see that. I'm on Instagram at RegieCollects. I'd love to see some of your artwork. TJ Watson is saying he's done some of his best work for DC. Do you think it's purposeful, or do you just think that he has continued to mature and refine his craft as an artist and just happens to be at DC? I'm curious what your thought is on that. So Jason is making the comment that many people have made about adding another row. The problem is I purposely put the books at the height that I did because I have two small children and they are giants. One of them is he'll be 4 in December, and my girl is 1.5. She literally climbs on those BCW boxes that you see behind me, and she is tall enough to knock things off the wall if I'm not careful. So that's why I don't have another row behind me, is because my children are dangerous and they don't understand the damage that they can inflict. So that's part of the reason why. J-Biz, I would definitely check out Agents, brother. It is very good. RB3 is asking if my secret art one is Ryan Otley. Brother, his artwork is solid. And I was actually looking at some of his stuff last night. I would like to do Ryan, but that is not it. That is close. That is actually a really, really good guess, RB3. It is apparent that you pay attention, my man. But yeah, so at some point I will reveal. If I'm able to get it, I will reveal. So a couple of people have said they do have. I've seen some of your artwork, JD. I've seen some of it in some of your videos, and you have some nice stuff. There's no doubt about that, you know. Let me Dan is saying keep people guessing with the comics in the back. Dan, what I was saying is, I was thinking in my head, I was like, I'm gonna just move stuff randomly just because, you know, and see what people say. But what was interesting is that I was headed down a path of getting some things up there kind of organized, but my kids needed me and I never got back to it, but I was headed down a path. My boy recognizes Spider-Man, so you'll notice like right in the middle, right at the top row, there's all the Spider-Man stuff, I think. Just because he recognizes that he likes to dress up as like Spider-Man and run around the house. So he kind of gets that. And so I wanted to do something that was easy for him to recognize, you know? So anyway, let me recap for you guys, and then we're going to close this thing out because I know many of you have things to do, and I am probably going to go sit in a hot tub with my wife. So I got a wonderful act of kindness from my buddy Alec over at Whitewell Comics. If you have not checked out his channel, I encourage you to do so. He's got a really cool video about Alpha Flight that I really enjoyed. And then he's got a hilarious unboxing that is just full of just sarcasm and wit that I absolutely enjoyed, so check that out. He sent me a book, 3 books, 1, 2, and 3, called Missing Pieces, written by, I guess, or no, either written or drawn by Alec, because his first name is Alex, so I get a kick out of that. And then he also gave me a piece of original art where he drew this young lady that's on, I think that's cover number 2, I want to say. And he's giving me thanks for everything that I do. I don't know what I do other than get on camera and ramble, but you are welcome, my friend. So if you haven't checked them out, I encourage you to do so. So I hit up a really cool comic shop. If you want to hear the background on it, there is a little bit of hilarity associated with it. Go back and watch this thing on replay. I'm going to just run through the books for you guys. This is Uncanny X-Men 267. This is, I believe, the first Jim Lee cover of Gambit. At a minimum, it is the second appearance of Gambit because you guys know 266 was his first. This is 267, a very cool cover. I picked up 2 vibrant X Factor number 1s. They were unbagged, unboarded, and I promise you, one of these will come back as a 9.8, the other will come back as a 9.6. I promise you that, if not 2 9.8s. Because they are gorgeous. So a couple of newer books, Venom number 4, because I am enjoying the read of this one. It is a gorgeous black cover. Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman are doing fantastic work. I was on the hunt, RB3, for some Stegman artwork yesterday. I was looking at some of his stuff, and he's got some pretty good stuff. I picked up also Venom number 1 for the same reason that I just stated. This book for me was a little hard for me to read when I first started reading it. It took me 2 settings to get through it, but once I did, I really appreciated the style of the writing, but it took me a moment to adjust to what they were trying to do. The last book that I picked up from my haul today was Amazing Spider-Man 800. I think this is the Bradshaw cover. I can't remember. I have 1 copy of this. It was damaged, big white spot here. I was unable to find a new, a replacement copy of it until today when I came across 4 or 5 other copies. I picked the best of the lot and brought it home with me. So definitely happy to have that one in the collection. And then the last book that I actually picked up is a Spec book based upon me watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and really enjoying that TV show. It is Ghost Rider number 1. It is the first appearance of Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider. So if you have not read this book, you might want to check it out. It is a fun read. Back in the day, I kind of was a fan of Ghost Rider a little bit, but this one's really, really cool. This guy makes a pretty good Ghost Rider. I don't know about that head. I think the head's creepy. The head, the mask, I don't know what that thing is. I think it's creepy. I prefer the old school skull that they actually did in the TV show versus whatever that is. Not a fan. All right, so let me get caught up on the chat here real quick. So Dan is saying that Santa Rosa Toy Comic-Con is September 22nd. Where is Santa Rosa, brother? I don't know where that is. Can somebody give me a map? SJF, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I love these live shows. I tell people I bring a little bit of content to the table, but then so much of like what happens here is really you guys chatting and making comments and me playing off of what you guys say. But I really do have a lot of fun with these live chats. So thank you for that feedback. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the feed here, and Dan, and try to see what the Santa Rosa show is, because I like to come. I'm not one for the crowds, really. I'm not. I'm a little anti-social, but I may try to swing by. We'll have to see. HME3, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the chat. Kingpin Comics, thank you. I felt very good about these purchases today. Did not spend a lot of money, but came home with some nice additions to the personal collection. I'm going to head back to this shop probably on Tuesday and see what else I can pick up. I'm pretty pumped about hitting this shop up, because I think the owner is sitting on some nice books. As I was leaving the shop, I was kind of glancing around. I'm seeing stacks and stacks of books. At one point, I peeked in the back, and I have a feeling that this place is a gold mine, and I know how the guy is pricing his books too. When he was pricing some of these, I looked at his screen and could see the site that he's going to. The site undervalues books, so I'm super pumped about that. Tracy is saying, glad he caught this live for yeah, I didn't pay much for the Venoms. I think the Venoms were all cover price. I think all of those were cover price. There was a lot of that stack was actually cover price books. He kind of looked at it and sorted it into two stacks, cover price and then non-cover. And in fact, that 267 X-Men, I actually got this for cover price. He looked at it and was like, cover price. So super pumped about that. I have no clue what the book is worth. It's a significant book because of what I've already cited. So definitely pumped about those. Yes. RB3, lucky. I was looking for, 3? There were no 3s to be seen in that store, and I looked twice, but I was hoping to find 3, that white cover with the tongue. I have only one copy of that that I picked up. I was unable to find it the day that it came out. I think that they were snapped up all across the San Francisco Bay Area. So Dan is saying that show is in North Bay, north of San Francisco. That's not too bad. I can shoot up there, especially if it's early morning, you know. So SJF is basically asking, can I do a show for new people to your channel on the Comics on Your Wall? Yeah, so there was actually a feed that I did. I think it was called Comic Room Update or something like that. I think there's 4 of those updates that I did on the Comic Room, and I want to say it was the second one that I did where I actually go through every book on the wall. Not these, because I've changed out 1 or 2, but probably 85% of what's up there is covered in that video. So if you check that out, a ton of details are there. And then you can always hit me on Instagram at RegieCollects, and we can always chop it up and have a conversation. I also sometimes will send people videos on Instagram because I'm too lazy to type. So, and it's just like this. You type, I talk. It works out really well. San Antonio, Texas Comic-Con. I am not coming to San Antonio, Texas. I was there once. I had to go to the Walmart. The cool thing is my wife is actually a flight attendant, so technically I can fly anywhere in the country for free. I rarely use it. I typically use it when I'm flying with my family. So we are actually headed to Illinois in about a week or so. So I'm definitely looking forward to hitting a couple of shops up there. But Jacob, it's good to know that Jim Lee will be there. Is San Antonio a big comic town? Because I want to go to a place where there's like not a lot of people and Jim Lee, so I don't have to stand in line too long. I will definitely check the website out. I don't want to send me a message, Dan, about the location, and I'll tell you where it is. I don't want to say it out loud because I've kind of bashed the place, so I don't want to be that guy, you know. All right, so I think we are have two 3s, 1 regular. Yeah, very nice, Jacob. Very nice. All right, I think Venom 3rd printing is coming this month too, if you like later printings. Nah, not so much. Not so much. RB3 brother, you get me a badge that does not require me to stand in line, and I will probably come to Vegas. I'm just saying. Because here's the thing. I actually thought about sending you a message last night. What I'm working on right now, I'm working on a deal where I've come across some X-Men books from the 90s. I think it's like maybe 1 through 5 newsstand. So those newsstand of that X-Men are hard to find. So I am working on a deal right now with a guy for those newsstand. And my thought was, if I get those newsstand X-Men, I am going to Vegas to get his signature. I literally thought about that last night. So The problem is how many signatures can I get? I mean, I don't mind paying. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind paying, but is there a limit if I pay? Because I don't want any limits. I just want to pay my money, you know? So Jacob is saying that Austin, Texas, major city in Texas, not too huge. Like, yeah, and I've been there. I've been to Houston, Austin, San Antonio. I've been to all of those. I just wasn't sure if like the comic community was big, you know, because sometimes in those smaller places, you tend to have a lot of people for whatever reason that read books, maybe because there's less things to do. I'm not quite sure. So he's saying depending upon the artist, we get from 5. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So we'll see. I definitely want to meet up with Jim Lee. I'd love to meet the guy, shake his hand, get a photo. And I was watching him and Tyrese do a video earlier today. In fact, I can't remember what the character was. It was a DC character, but Jim was sketching while the guy was there. And it was pretty cool to see them kind of interact and play off of one another. And those videos that Jim Lee does, I just think are incredible. I love to meet the guy and grab a couple of signatures. So you get in line, you wait 2 whole cigs. Yeah. So Tracy, I hear you, brother. There we go. So RB3 is basically saying I can buy as many as I want, which is cool. I'm okay with that, you know, because if I get those X-Men newsstand, I would love to get those signed because that'd be really, really cool. All right. So I want to thank you guys for spending part of your day with me. This has been fun. I enjoy these live chats. I think you guys do as well. So I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. Thank you in advance for any thumbs up that you may leave. Thank you for any comments that you'll leave. And if you have not checked out the video that I posted earlier today, I'd encourage you to go by and take a look at it. I've been on this whole theme about protection as of late. And so this one I think is a really cool video that was fun to make. I would encourage you guys to go check it out and ask yourself if you have the right amount of protection for your collection. If the answer is no, you know what to do. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you need me, RegieCollects at Gmail, RegieCollects at Instagram. Take care.